Al-Mustafa, the chosen and the beloved, who was a noon unto his own day, returned to the isle of his birth in the month of Tikhreen, which is the month of remembrance. And as his ship approached the harbour, he stood upon its prow, and his mariners were about him. And there was a homecoming in his heart. And he spoke, and the sea was in his voice, and he said, Behold the isle of our birth. Even here the earth heaved us, a song and a riddle. A song unto the sky, a riddle unto the earth. And what is there between earth and sky that shall carry the song and solve the riddle, save our own passion? The sea yields us once more to these shores. We are but another wave of her waves. She sends us forth to sound her speech, but how shall we do so unless we break the symmetry of our heart on rock and sand? For this is the law of mariners and the sea. If you would have freedom, you must needs turn to mist. The formless is forever seeking form, even as the countless nebulae would become suns and moons. And we, who have sought much, and return now to this isle, rigid moulds, we must become mist once more, and learn of the beginning. And what is there that shall live and rise unto the heights, except it be broken unto passion and freedom? Forever shall we be in quest of the shores, that we may sing and be heard. But what of the wave that breaks where no ear shall hear? It is the unheard in us that nurses our deepest sorrow. Yet it is also the unheard which carves our soul to form and fashion our destiny. Then one of his mariners came forth and said, Master, you have captained our longing for this harbour, and behold, we have come. Yet you speak of sorrow, and of hearts that shall be broken. And he answered him and said, Did I not speak of freedom, and of the mist which is our greater freedom? Yet it is in pain I make pilgrimage to the isle where I was born, even like unto a ghost of one slain, come to kneel before those who have slain him. And another mariner spoke and said, Behold the multitudes on the sea wall. In their silence they have foretold even the day and the hour of your coming, and they have gathered from their fields and vineyards in their loving need to await you. And Al-Mustafa looked afar upon the multitudes, and his heart was mindful of their yearning, and he was silent. Then a cry came from the people, and it was a cry of remembrance and of entreaty. And he looked upon his mariners and said, And what have I brought them? A hunter was I, in a distant land. With aim and might I have spent the golden arrows they gave me, but I have brought down no game. I followed not the arrows. Mayhap they are spreading now in the sun with the pinions of wounded eagles that would not fall to the earth. And mayhap the arrowheads have fallen into the hands of those who had need of them for bread and wine. I know not where they have spent their flight, but this I know, they have made their curve in the sky. Even so, love's hand is still upon me, and you, my mariners, still sail my vision, and I shall not be dumb. I shall cry out when the hand of the seasons is upon my throat, and I shall sing my words when my lips are burned with flames. And they were troubled in their hearts because he spoke of these things. And one said, Master, teach us all, and mayhap because your blood flows in our veins, and our breath is of your fragrance, we shall understand. Then he answered them, and the wind was in his voice, and he said, Brought you me to the isle of my birth to be a teacher? Not yet have I been caged by wisdom. Too young am I, and too verdant to speak of aught but self, which is for ever the deep, calling upon the deep. Let him who would have wisdom seek it in the buttercup, or in a pinch of red clay. I am still the singer. Still I shall sing the earth, and I shall sing your lost dreaming that walks the day between sleep and sleep. But I shall gaze upon the sea. And now the ship entered the harbour and reached the sea wall, and he came thus to the isle of his birth, and stood once more amongst his own people. And a great cry arose from their hearts, so that the loneliness of his homecoming was shaken within him. And they were silent, awaiting his word, but he answered them not. For the sadness of memory was upon him, and he said in his heart, Have I said that I shall sing? Nay, I can but open my lips that the voice of life may come forth and go out to the wind for joy and support. Then Karima, she who had played with him, a child, in the garden of his mother, spoke and said, 12 years have you hidden your face from us, and for 12 years have we hungered and thirsted for your voice. And he looked upon her with exceeding tenderness, for it was she who had closed the eyes of his mother when the white wings of death had gathered her. And he answered and said, 12 years? Said you 12 years, Karima? I measured not my longing with the starry rod, nor did I sound the depth thereof. For love, when love is homesick, exhausts time's measurements and time's soundings. There are moments that hold eons of separation, yet parting is naught but an exhaustion of the mind. Perhaps we have not parted. And Al-Mustafa looked upon the people, and he saw them all, the youth and the aged, the stalwart and the puny, those who were ruddy with the touch of wind and sun, and those who were of pallid countenance, and upon their face a light of longing and of questioning. And one spoke and said, Master, life has dealt bitterly with our hopes and our desires. Our hearts are troubled, and we do not understand. I pray you, comfort us, and open to us the meanings of our sorrows. And his heart was moved with compassion, and he said, Life is older than all things living, even as beauty was winged before the beautiful was born on earth, and even as truth was truth before it was uttered. Life sings in our silences and dreams in our slumber. Even when we are beaten and low, life is enthroned and high. And when we weep, life smiles upon the day, and is free even when we drag our chains. Oftentimes we call life bitter names, but only when we ourselves are bitter and dark. And we deem her empty and unprofitable, but only when the soul goes wandering in desolate places, and the heart is drunken with over-mindfulness of self. Life is deep and high and distant, and though only your vast vision can reach even her feet, yet she is near. And though only the breath of your breath reaches her heart, the shadow of your shadow crosses her face, and the echo of your faintest cry becomes a spring and an autumn in her breast. And life is veiled and hidden, even as your greater self is hidden and veiled. Yet, when life speaks, all the winds become words, and when she speaks again, the smiles upon your lips and the tears in your eyes turn also into words. When she sings, the deaf hear and are held. And when she comes walking, the sightless behold her and are amazed, and follow her in wonder and astonishment. And he ceased from speaking, and a vast silence enfolded the people. And in the silence there was an unheard song, and they were comforted of their loneliness and their aching. And he left them straightway and followed the path which led to his garden, which was the garden of his mother and his father, wherein they lay asleep, they and their forefathers. And there were those who would have followed after him, seeing that it was a homecoming and he was alone, for there was not one left of all his kin to spread the feast of welcome, after the manner of his people. But the captain of his ship counselled them, saying, Suffer him to go upon his way, for his bread is the bread of aloneness, and in his cup is the wine of remembrance, which he would drink alone. And his mariners held their steps, for they knew it was even as the captain of the ship had told them. And all those who gathered upon the sea wall restrained the feet of their desire. Only Karima went after him a little way, yearning over his aloneness and his memories. And she spoke not, but turned and went unto her own house, and in the garden under the almond tree she wept, yet she knew not wherefore. And Al-Mustafa came and found the garden of his mother and his father, and he entered in, and closed the gate so that no man might come after him. And for 40 days and 40 nights he dwelt alone in that house, in that garden, and none came, not even unto the gate, for it was closed, and all the people knew that he would be alone. And when the 40 days and nights were ended, Al-Mustafa opened the gate, that they might come in.